Hi everyone, welcome back to What's Up in Waste. I'm Jane Arandelovic, and today we're joined by Julian Day, the CEO of the Consensus Awards. And we're going to be talking about the Consensus Greentech Award, which celebrates our nation's brightest innovations. Julian, it's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Yeah, thank you very much. Glad to be here. Look forward to telling you all about the Greentech Awards. Yeah.
Awesome. Now you've actually just recently hosted the Greentech Awards.
Yeah, we had the latest round of presentations of the Consensus Awards, the 24th of August, and that included the Greentech Awards, along with some of the other awards that we run. Yeah.
And tell me about the Consensus Awards. It's been running for quite a long time now. Is it over 20 years?
Yeah, this will be our 25th year now, coming into 2024. So we started the company 1st of July in 1999, and we held our first awards presentation night in March 2000. In those days, we just had two awards programs. Because of my background, it was the Consensus Software Awards and also the IT Writers Awards, which are awards for journalists and editors who are writing about technology. And over the years, we've added other awards. We introduced the Greentech Awards in 2009, but we now have 12 different awards programs. So we have a Fintech Award, Agtech for agriculture, Medtech Awards, etc., etc. So they've grown over the years, but the same principles apply that we set out to do. Is that it's a very open process. We have a very large number of judges that make the decisions. I just manage the process. We have no influence from any large corporates or sponsors. So they're totally independently run, and the judges can decide how many awards they give out, which is a great way of doing it.
And is it with the judging panel, there's a lot of judges, isn't there? It's quite a rigorous process to go through.
Yeah. Yeah, look, the whole process, I'll say, over the years we tweak it as well. So there's a couple of things that we're putting into the entry form for next year, which was suggested by one item from one of our judges and one also by an entrant. So yeah, we modify that all the time. But the process is very open. We, Consensus, help every participant. So it's not just here is the entry form and when you're ready, send it in. No, it's actually an iterative process, so very much hands-on. Because over the years, of course, we know exactly what the judges are looking for. Over those 12 judging, those 12 awards, we have around about 160 judges. So it's a huge brains trust from industry. There's about half a dozen of those that judge more than one award program. But of course, because we've got so many, we need to have subject matter experts in each of the different areas who can obviously make the right assessment on the technology that's being presented.
Yeah, and you must have seen, like, across the years, what are the trends that you've seen with the sectors? So you've mentioned you've obviously grown the awards in terms of looking at innovation from different sectors now.
Yeah, look, we started fairly generic with the software awards. The software awards in those days was basically large systems applications that were nominated for the awards. And of course, we've seen that change now, that a huge number of app-based applications which have come to the forefront in the last probably only 2 or 3 years. So we introduced the Greentech Awards in 2009 because that became a flavour of the year, so to speak, in 2009 and continued. Shortly after that, we saw an opportunity to introduce a generic innovation award as well, because we had those programs I just mentioned, but the generic innovation award is like a catch-all for everything that's not within one of our existing programs. But of course, now we've expanded into those other areas which I mentioned. So there are less actual entries now into the generic innovation award because we have individual awards for fintech, medtech, greentech, etc. Yeah.
And it's not, even though there's obviously tech in the name, the winners of these awards they're not necessarily a technology company in that space.
Yeah, look, it varies. The vast majority of individuals that actually enter these awards, they're all in the startup phase, number one. That's important to stress. Where the technology is either just going to market or has been in market for probably no longer than 18 months, maximum 2 years.
Yeah.
So it is very early stage. And the typical organisation that puts up the technology for evaluation is a sort of a one-man band or a two-man band, probably 4 or 5 at the most, because it's very early stage for them as well. And it's great to actually work with them, as I said, to actually put the pitch together. They've never done this typically before, and they enjoy the process. Many comments afterwards that they thoroughly enjoyed the whole process because it got them to focus on, what is their unique selling proposition? How do we articulate what our innovation is? Why is it different than other technologies in the marketplace? Who are our competitors and why are we different? Etc., etc., etc. So at the end of the day, it really sort of puts them on the, allows them to sort of articulate exactly where they're currently at this point in time and how they're going to take the technology to market.
Yeah, yeah. And do you see, in working with the founders and the startups in across the awards, are there common characteristics or common traits to what makes a winner?
Yeah, look, I'd say 8 out of 10, the founder is somebody that really, really does understand their market sector. The winner of the Greentech Awards that we just announced, Craig, has been in this space for 14 years. He lives it, he breathes it. And to actually now get technology going to market and to actually win the award, it's a real recognition for the time and effort that he's put in over all those years. That's probably an exception, 14 years. But certainly at least 5, if not 6 years is fairly typical that individuals have been involved in identifying a niche market and developing a technology to fill that market.
Yeah, yeah. And do you think, is there something uniquely different about Aussie innovators?
Look, I think the answer to that is we are a very innovative country. I spend a lot of my time going out to the coalface, as I call it, the incubators, the startup hubs, universities where they're doing research. And that's where we identify many of our entrants. They're not necessarily going to approach us, so we've actually got to actually get out there and actually talk to them. And, at the end of the day, if you look abroad across all of the technologies that have been offered, some of them are far more advanced than others. Others, for example, need to articulate better their potential. They've got a great solution which they love and they live and breathe it, as I said, but to actually say, how are we actually going to take this to market? How are we going to win our first few customers? What's the value add to somebody who's going to purchase this? It's okay having a great solution, but of course, sometimes it might be a solution looking for a problem, and it's not necessarily going to actually, fit the marketplace. Therefore, they have to take a step back. And as well as winning an award and those that don't win awards, we also have highly commended. So the judges will say, okay, we can see it's highly innovative, but we don't think you're ready to go to market for these reasons, or you haven't particularly identified your market. You need to take more time to do so. So it's great feedback from a large number of people from industry to say whether they're actually ready to go to market at this point in time. So in the last round of awards, we had two that were highly commended, and I've since spoken to them both, and they've taken the comments that the judges gave them on the chin, and they are both going to re-enter in 2024, which is fantastic, and address the issues that the judges identified.
Oh, that's great. So you get another chance to grow and adapt how you position your solution. And there's been some pretty well-known companies that have come through the Consensus Awards. Are you allowed to name them?
Absolutely. Well, the great thing is that even from day one, that we presented in March 2000, there were 5 winners, and 4 of those technologies are still around today, which is absolutely fantastic. And the significant ones that people know about, the names of them, I guess the one that most people know is Atlassian, started by Mike Cannon-Brookes and Scott Farquhar. I met them the year they graduated from university. That was in 2003. And it was a networking event in the evening, and Mike told me about the technology they were developing, which is their first product, called Jira. And at the time, Mike's dad was paying the rent in a small little office in York Street behind Queen Victoria Building. And they had 3 of their mates helping them with coding. And they had 3 beta customers. So they hadn't sold the technology, but they were using these 3 beta customers. One based here, one in the UK, and one in the US, which is interesting. And they were using these customers basically to help them develop the technology and tweak the technology before going to market. And anyway, the rest is history in terms of Atlassian, but we were the first to recognise them. I got them to enter the awards, and they won one of our awards in 2004. And of course, it gave them a real big, boost in terms of the judges agreeing that yes, the technology was very unique, huge market potential, etc. So we were the first to recognise Atlassian with an award. And of course, they've since gone on to win many other awards. Another, Richard White from WiseTech Global. Incidentally, WiseTech Global also won in 2004. So that was a bonus year for us. And Richard quite openly says that he used the judging process to validate whether he was ready to go to market or not, and therefore to get his investors to put additional dollars in. And of course, he won an award, and he went to his investors. They doubled their input, and he put his foot down on the accelerator. And now, a multi-billion-dollar business around the world in the logistics space. So those are just 2 examples. But the great thing is, on our website, we've got the whole history. And, even the winners there from the year 2000 are on there. And anybody can do their own analysis. We've had it done 3 times now independently over the years, looking back to say, well, how successful have the winners been? Now, the judges identify the best technologies. They, as I said, can actually give out as many or as few awards as they deem are truly innovative and great worldwide potential. And by consensus, they agree as a group which ones they give out awards to. And anyway, the MBA students that have done the research for us independently, and of course all the results there on the website as well, so anybody else could do their same research. When I briefed them, the first time was in 2011, and I looked at the first 9 years. I said, look, it'd be nice to know how many of the winners have gone on to achieve a 10 times return, because that's what venture capitalists are looking for. And I think most people are familiar with the VC model, and that is that if they make 10 investments into a portfolio, they're looking for 1 or 2 of those to actually do a 10 times return or more to justify. And of course, quite a few of those might go out of business. Some might break even, but they're really just looking for 1 or 2 out of 10 to do a 10 times return. So when I briefed the students in 2011, I said, yeah, it'd be interesting to know how many of them are winners who've actually done a 10 times return since they won the award. Excuse me. And when they came back, it was originally 8 students for 6 weeks. They came back, the first thing they said, well, it's interesting the fact that when you briefed us, you said that about 50% you thought of the winners had actually got on to be successful in terms of a 10 times return. Well, that's quite huge. Far more, of course, than a VC portfolio would achieve. Anyway, they said, but your figure's actually quite wrong. It's actually 90%. 9 out of 10 of the winners had gone on to achieve not just a 10 times return, but a 12 times return. So it turns the model completely on its head. So we have a lot of interest from investors, of course, when we do give out awards, because the judges get it right year on year on year on year. And good on them. They're a great group of people to work with. I've got to know them, of course, over the years. I know lots of them individually, personally. And they put there, it's important to say, they don't get paid for what they do. They love it. They like coming back and seeing all the new technologies in the next year. And we shout them the dinner for the awards night. So they come along and have a good time as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, they know how to pick a winner, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Absolutely.
They know how to
Yeah.
pick the winning horse.
Yep.
And like, what would your advice be to an entrepreneur or a founder who's thinking of, entering into the Consensus Awards for Greentech? Like, what would be your advice?
I think number one, give us a call. Let's have a chat. I'm a good sounding board. I've been doing this for 20 plus years, and I know also what other technology is out there. So I can say, well, look, how do you compare with this technology or that technology or whatever? Why are you different? So number one, I'm a sounding board. That's without entering. That's free of charge. Secondly, it's important that, and this is advice to anybody, not just in the green tech space, but talk to different people in industry about your technology. Get their feedback. We hear about obviously what happens in the US. They share ideas. Well, we should actually be doing the same thing here.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, in the US, they hardly ever sign non-disclosure agreements, whereas we're very much here. It's like, no, we must sign an NDA. I don't think we do. People are appropriately make sure that the IP is actually retained by the individual that actually comes up with the idea and develops it. And a good example there is, as I said, Craig with his technology that's just won, which is a stormwater drain filter. 14 years of effort's gone into this. So by sharing that idea and what he's done in terms of developing different prototypes over the years and some of the initial agreements he's got in place, you can't take that away from him. And it's true of most individuals that have developed a unique proposition, is that they should really run the idea by, I would say, a minimum of 5 or 6 different individuals across industry and get their feedback. And then, of course, come and knock on our door. If you feel it fits, we will tell you if it fits, or we might say, well, you're probably not there yet, and maybe you should enter again next year. And that's interesting because we've held just back in 24th of August, the awards this time round. From now on, we're going to be running the awards twice a year. So we're actually now open for entries for the first set of awards in 2024. All entries have to be in by the end of March. We'll do the judging in April, and then we'll be presenting the awards before the end of May. And it's a bit of a coup, but I've actually got previous Prime Minister John Howard agreed that he's going to present our awards at the end of May. A date's yet to be set, but his office are going to set the date early in the new year, so we'll have a date to work with then, which is fantastic. So once we've done those awards, of course, that will be finished, as I said, before the end of May. We'll then be open for the second half of the year, which is good because I've already got held up, as I said, for this last set of awards, 2 that were highly commended. Rather than have to wait for 12 months to come back, of course, they're going to go ahead and hopefully win an award in May, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. And it's obviously growing, and you can see anyway that the sector itself is growing as well. So it's great to have kind of the 2 opportunities to enter the awards. So tell me, where can people find out more? So you've got the website online.
Yep, so you go to consensus.com.au. We do other things you'll see in the top level tabs, but you click on the Consensus Awards. On the home page, we've got the links to the 6 winners of the awards just been held. And of course, one of those is the Greentech Award that I mentioned, the stormwater drain filter. The company is Ari Water, ARI Water, but there are the others there. There were 3 innovation awards given out. There was an EdTech award in the education space, and the Greentech as well. So it was really good. The ones that are highly commended, we don't put up on the website. We do that with respect because they haven't won an award. And of course, those that aren't either win an award or aren't highly commended, we don't put up either. So you just have the opportunity to come back later on.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Julian, thanks so much for your time today and for coming on to the show. It's been really interesting to talk to you about the journey of the Consensus Awards and the notable winners that you've discovered across the last, is it 23 years? 24 years?
It's 24 now. We're going. So March 2000 was the first year we presented the awards. So so March this coming year will be the 25th year.
Oh, that's awesome! Yep. Awesome. So it'll be like quarter century.
Yep, it is absolutely quarter century.
Quarter century.
And not out.
And not out, exactly. Well, thank you for coming on to the show today, Julian.
Thank you very much indeed. Appreciate it, Jane.
We'll chat soon.